All right, the time is 1 minute past 5 on this beautiful Monday evening. Well, Monday means business, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why I'm here to give you and your business the finance and boost it needs. My name is Kaide Okikilu, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the most profitable show on radio. That's right, you are on to the Financial Literacy Public Enlightenment radio series brought to you by the Bankers Committee. Well, we call it FLP for short, or simply call us the Money Gang. That's right. You can call us the Teach You How to Make Profit Gang. The list is endless, but essentially, we are here to broaden your understanding of key business principles for growth, and of course, open your eyes. That's true. Open your eyes, open your ears to interventions, funding, and all of that from government and other financial institutions. Hey, we're here for you. We're here for your success. We're here for your growth and for the growth of our nation's economy. So, once again, I welcome you. Round of applause for those that joined us today. Last week, we talked about getting that much needed funding for your business. And really, I am glad that a lot of people and businesses latched onto those pointers, those ideas that came up during the conversation. But in case you missed it, don't worry. I'll tell you where you can catch up on all of those conversations. We're on our 11th week running. That's right. One, two, three, four, all the way to 11 amazing content we've been bringing up. But today we're back with something premium, as always, top of the line. It's fresh. It is hot. It is a very best. You'll need to brace up for this one, really, because we'll be opening your eyes yet again to a whole new world of possibilities. We're talking fantastic ideas that will take you out of your little corner of business and expose you to a larger world out there. What am I talking about? Well, today on the program, we are taking you into the world of export opportunities. That's right. You know, that talk about export that has seemed, mystical, that has seemed very mysterious. Today is the day we break all of that myth for you. I mean, who says you can't play in the big leagues? Who says you can't be international? Yeah, think of that your business and put international after it. That is possible because you can. Whatever business you're into, there is something in this conversation for you this evening. You have to trust me on this one. I have my export savvy resource persons who have years of solid experience in the sector, and they'll be helping businesses like yours. They've done it before, really. They'll be helping you fulfill your export dream. So please, ladies and gentlemen, get comfortable. By the way, if you want to get a much more impressive or rather immersive experience, or maybe you want to invite someone to join us, I'll tell you the different ways you can do this. We're on Zoom, we're on YouTube, you can send us messages, you can even call us. How about social media? We're right there. So in short, we're literally everywhere. So let me walk you through the various means you can be a part of this conversation this evening. You can message us on 0909 861 5403. Again, if you want to send us a message, a question, whatever it is, a comment, 0909 861 5403 is the number to send us a message via. And if you want to call us, yes, if you want us to hear your voice, ask your question in person, the number to call is 0901 577 9472, or you could just head over to smegrowth.ng. I'll take that again, smegrowth.ng. That is where you can get the Zoom link and, of course, other details. You also get access to our previous episodes, 10 of them, and even much more. Again, the number to call is 0901 577 9472. As I said, please don't enjoy this alone, okay? Share it with others, all right? There's love in sharing. Well, I'm ready for today's conversation, so get comfortable. Grab a cup of whatever makes you comfortable. If you're in traffic, just relax, okay? Keep your eyes on the road, all right? As we get into this conversation. Let me introduce my resource person. Yeah, that's right. We've gone far and wide to get you the very best minds to take you through this world of export opportunities. So let's introduce our guests. I have the pleasure of Mr. Oladimeji Mustafa, who is the head international operations at Keystone Bank. It's good to have you on the program, Mr. Mustafa. Also joining us is Dr. Uba Anichebe, who's Group Head Corporate Banking at Polaris Bank. Thank you for joining us, as well as Mr. Emmanuel Waller, who's Team Lead Export and Agriculture at Fidelity Bank. Gentlemen, let's get into this. I know you've had a long day, but the beauty about this conversation is the fact that we get to help businesses with the vital information they need. And I know that is what you essentially live for. That is what your business, your work is all about. So let's get into this. The big question is really, why is exporting an important part of this whole financial literacy conversation, the economy of our nation? Because the question will be, I mean, why do I need to look into exporting? I'm okay, at least I'm making the little money I'm making. But I like to talk about that point. Why is exporting important to financial literacy and businesses that will be listening to us this evening? I'd like to start with Mr. Mustafa. You go first.
Good evening.
Good
Can you hear
evening.
me?
Please go ahead. Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, good evening, the panelists, the moderator. As rightly asked, why exports an important part of financial literacy?
Okay, Mr. Mustafa, you know what? Please hold on for a moment. Looks like there's a lot of work around you. I know you have a team working with you. It's quite a busy day. So what we'll need you to do is maybe move to a quieter place so we can come back to you. All right. So please give us a moment as get a better location so we can have this conversation. So you could go back on mute and get a much quieter environment. Thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa. So while we wait for Mr. Mustafa, who's the head international operations at Keystone Bank, let's quickly come to Mr. Emmanuel Waller, who is the team lead export and agriculture at Fidelity Bank. Mr. Waller, so let's start off with you. We'll get Mr. Mustafa eventually. Why is exporting an important part of financial literacy?
Okay, thank you and good evening. Thank you for having me on your program. Okay, so exporting is regarded as financial literacy, more importantly because, there's a significant amount of knowledge that is required. So when you need to export, you need to understand the basic and the fundamentals, involved in terms of payments. This is a significant part of the export process. So you need to understand what are the terms of payment. We need to understand what are the modes of payment. So we're talking about modes of payment. You're looking at maybe letters of credit. You're talking about bills for collection and all of that. Sorry, I'm using these terms, but these are these are the things you need to understand. So payment is key because it's an international trade, and the significant amount of transactions are consummated even without the exchange of the physical goods. So you need to understand or have that those fundamentals, in terms of how the financial flows go through. Yeah, so very, very important.
Absolutely. Spoken like a true financial expert. So let's break this down even further. As a whole, for our economy now, we're looking generally. Why should we focus or at least try to do better with our export component? I know countries have the trade balance, import and export, but seeing that our focus is on export, I'd like Mr. Mustafa to stretch this on a general note. Why is export important to our economy, to an economy like Nigeria's? That's for you, Mr. Mustafa. Okay, we'll get Mr. Mustafa back. It looks like an issue with the connection. These things happen, okay? Mr. Nwalo, let me bring that question to you, right? So for an economy like Nigeria, they call us a developing economy, one of the largest in the world, by the way. Why is the exporting or the export component very important?
Okay, so like I said earlier, exports is an international trade, just like imports. So basically you have export on one hand and imports on the other. So in terms of import, you're talking about, goods being, brought into the country, okay, shipped from overseas and payments made for those purposes. And the opposite is the export, which is having to move goods from Nigeria to the rest of the world or to other part of the world. So it is very important. So now, when you look at the balance of payments, okay, so is a function of how much you import as against how much you export. So when you are importing more than you are exporting, right? So it throws the country into a negative. So which means that you're going to be requiring a lot of FX, to balance or to make payment for those. And for how do you get those FX? those effects are actually gotten from the opposite trade, which is the export. So there's need to always ensure that there's a significant amount of export that goes on, so that the country will have or be able to generate, the volume of FX that is required to make payments, for the import side. Because in all honesty, there is no country that doesn't import, and also there is no country that doesn't export. So either way, there's always a need for countries to bring in things that they don't have the competency or the comparative advantage, So so there's always that need to always try to export more, so that you can get a significant amount of FX that can help you to pay, for the imports.
Right. So FX is one very important point. So when we talk about FX, foreign exchange, having, how they say the dollar to the naira, this is one major component that helps to boost the value of our naira, ensuring we do better, we do more with the volume and the value of our exports. Thank you very much, Mr. Nwalo. We've been joined now by Dr. Oba Anichebe, who's Group Head Corporate Banking at Polaris Bank. Dr. Anichebe, it's good to have you again.
Thank you, Kyle. Good evening.
Good evening. Yes, I know you've had a long day.
I struggled to join.
It's okay. Mondays are usually like that, quite busy day. Mondays mean business, essentially. We're talking about this important topic, export opportunities. And you joined just in time for us to talk about the importance of having better exports as a country, as an economy, what it does to an economy. And Mr. Nwalo was just talking about how it ensures we get more Forex. And I'd like to take this to another angle as we move on this evening. Looking at our trade balance, I've been doing a lot of studying. So our export against our import. You realize that for a country of 200 million industrious people, we're still not doing as much as we ought to on the export angle. And I find it quite surprising that we have more imports than exports. So why has it been difficult, really, to boost our exports, Dr. Anichebe?
Well, you're right when you say that we have more imports than exports. You find out that that is the current definition of narrative in the Nigerian economy. So over time, we have developed a preference for imports, being a dumping ground. Even what we can produce, as bad as toothpicks being imported from China, when we have every element, that should make it happen here. But because of poor industrial base, our economy has a poor industrial base, and so even when you see export happening, you find out that instead of harnessing those produce to become to fine tune quality and to extract value, what we do is that we export in that primordial farm. You go to the street of London, you see our yam, you understand, that should have been processed before export. So there's a whole lot as, on weak industrialization affecting the volume of exports. Then you also our own value orientation. You find out that we want to import everything, champagne, instead of our fresh palm wine, you understand? So all of those things will make you a dumping ground. And as you import those things, what it means is that employment, you're exporting those employments to the nations that are already bringing it to you. So we'll find, the reasons why we have a weak industrial base is also for another day. But infrastructure deficit. But again, do we have that believability in ourselves? You find that even products that are produced in Nigeria, people prefer to go and get the foreign ones. So there might be some patriotism, there must be some consciousness to produce what you consume. Do you understand? And for us, there should also some value reset, so that we begin to show appreciation of all of those things that are produced here. Do you understand? We have we become also not just a consuming nation for imported goods. We begin to also consume. Let's start with producing what what we consume and consuming what we produce. Then in there, you may have a foundational research that will now give incentive to export, which is where the country is headed for now, which is where all the policies, because we have come to it. Everything, school fees, drain our little export, then over reliance on the petroleum sector of the economy. So when it works fine, but when it does not work fine, we find the economy is set back.
Right.
So, So that's it.
I like the point you made about, when you import, essentially, you are exporting jobs. So in the same sense, when you export, you're importing jobs. So there's the angle of actually creating more jobs, boosting the employment, at least ensuring that people get more jobs. And I love that point. You talked about the foundational shift. And I'm hoping that for our listeners out there, at least this will be one of the major take homes. So let's get to where the rubber meets the road now, because for businesses out there, they've heard that, exports will boost Forex, naturally increase your earning as a business, help you to scale up, help you to employ more people and do better for yourself and for the economy. But there is this thinking that, as a business, you can only export when you are at a certain cruising altitude. And that's what a lot of businesses think, that I need to be at a certain level for me to even approach that idea of export. I hope we have Mr. Mustafa back. I'd like him to handle that question. Mr. Mustafa, are you there now? Okay.
Yeah,
let me take
I'm here.
Oh, you're there. Fantastic. It's good to have you back. So the question is essentially, is there any level you have to get to as a business for you to start contemplating export, or it is available for you at any level of business, be it nano, micro, nano, if there's anything like that?
If I may borrow your word, if you want to start, you can start at micro nano level. What that one simply means is you can start from 4 walls of your room. The answer is no. There is no start base point. The only thing is to have idea of what you want to export, the market, the logistics, the process flow, how to repatriate your money. It's straight through establishment of SC, bills for collection, or the common language we use in Nigeria, TT, ordinary transfer, which exposes a lot of our business owners because of the fact that they don't trust us. What they want is they want our good first before they remit back to us. Whereas reverse is the case when you want to import. They will tell you your money upfront, let it be in a bank. If I even start producing or sending your goods, which is SC, that's the level we are now. So by the time you start your business, where do you start from? You start from micro and you graduate. That's the process. There is no limit to where you start from, and there is no cap. The point is, you have to start from somewhere and understand the market you are going into. That's the key word, understanding of the market. If you have full understanding, you know where to source your product in Nigeria, the logistics, the process flow of taking it from the raw material, you want to take it to semi-product or finished good, you know what it takes at a cost that is reasonable, that will make you have something tangible as returns, up to shipping, the process flow of shipment, the clearance, the NSP registration, up to the time you ship. That is what you need to do. It's just to have the knowledge, but there is no base point. Start from in the 4 walls of your room. You are there.
Fantastic point there. We'll still get into some of the breakdowns, the processes, because it's important for those listening who are thinking, how do I go about this? But still on this point, really, you have said you can start from the 4 walls of your room, whether it's a self-contained, whether it's face me, I face you, whatever it is, you can start. You also said understand the market. But Mr. Wallo, I'd like you to come in here, because there's always a thinking as well that, maybe I need some amount of money, some stash of money to enter into exporting. I'd like you to speak to that. Do you need a certain amount of money to get into exporting? Maybe you need to have saved maybe millions of naira so you can pump it into exporting. What is the financial implications of going the route of exporting?
Okay, thank you. So just like the last speaker said, so export is not only for the corporates or for the high-end business people. Export is also for the small, medium enterprises as well. Okay, so there are layers to this. So the thing is this: and we always tell people, when you want to start this business, it's always good to start small and then you can scale up. Now, so you can go through the learning curve. Now, how do you even start this? A number of us travel out of the country for vacation, we buy clothes, and then we come back. So you don't add so much value to you. So what do you do when you travel? Okay, when Nigerians travel, if you even have a situation where you can pinpoint the Nigerian diaspora community outside, either in the UK, Europe, or America, you need to find out what exactly is it that they require. Okay, and you can start there by looking at those products and then shipping them, right? You don't have to start like shipping a container full. No, you can actually start sending this in boxes through the airlines to the diaspora community. You have these things, sold, and then you repatriate. So you.
Oh dear. Just at the point he was getting to the meat.
Okay, for contracts, right? From established, exactly. So you now begin to look for export contracts, okay, from established off-takers overseas, and then of course all of this. When you pinpoint all of this and you begin to get those guys, then you cannot ship, to those entities overseas. So by so doing, you would have learned, from the rudiments, of shipping to the diaspora community, shipping to your brothers or sisters overseas, who will now handle the sales and marketing of these commodities overseas. And then as you now grow and you build capacity, then you begin to, like I said, you now look for export contract and then now start off the business. But the thing is, do you require money to do business? Yes, you require money. But do you have to get this money in quantum? No. You can always start, with that small money that you have, so long as that money is able to, procure whatever it is that you're exporting, either commodities or finished goods. But again, we always emphasize that, look, when you say exporting finished goods, you don't necessarily have to be a manufacturer to ship.
Of course.
To export finished goods. So you can do toll processing. So you have a company who processes, for instance, let's say any commodity that is needed overseas, right? They can actually produce for you and brand it in your name, and then you can ship. But again, a number of us also, when those who have traveled overseas often also see, you see like Nigerian brew, you see like Gouda, you see stout made from Nigeria. Okay, the guys exporting this are not necessarily Nigerian breweries or the big corporates that are producing those things. You can also go to Nigerian breweries, go to all these other companies that are into production, and license yourself to get their product out of the country as well. So that is how you can start, and as you do so, you build capacity, and then you can increase the scale of your business.
Fantastic points there, Mr. Nwalo. I like the part where you say, start small. You can even start shipping in boxes, person to person. There's a diaspora population out there, thousands of Nigerians. And you can start there. Thank you very much, Mr. Nwalo. In case you're just joining us, you're on to the Financial Literacy Public Enlightenment radio series brought to you by the Bankers Committee. We're here for you as a business to help you grow, to help you do better for yourself and for the economy. Today on the show, we're talking about export opportunities. That's right. We're essentially opening your eyes to a much bigger world out there. I tell you, if you have access to the 6 billion, 7 billion population of the world, in fact, you just need about 1% of that, I think you're made. So you need to be a part of this conversation. You can send us your questions in case you have, issues to raise. 0909 861 5403. That's the number to send your message to. 0909 861 5403. Or you can just call us live on 0901 577 9472. You can just also head over to our website, smegrowth.ng, to get all of these details. I still have with me three gentlemen. These guys are brilliant. I mean, they're on top of their game, essentially, walking us through the world of export. Mr. Oladimeji Mustafa, Keystone Bank, Dr. Obani Chebe from Polaris Bank, and Mr. Emmanuel Waller from Fidelity Bank. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We're due for a break in about 5 minutes, but I'd like to come to Dr. Anichebe. So we have essentially said you can start at any level. You don't need a stash of funds to start exporting as any business. But then we have sold the idea to people, right? I imagine businesses saying, okay, I want to try this. So can you walk us through the step-by-step process of exporting, really, from the conception? So I have a product. Let me say, I have this pen that I'm manufacturing, made in Nigeria pen, and, it lasts longer than other pens out there. And I think it's good for the world. So what is the next step for me to take up until when it gets to my market out there? That's for Dr. Anichebe, by the way.
Yeah. It depends on what you want to start with. But the first step is, you do your feasibility. Like my colleague mentioned, you have to do your feasibility to make sure that the item is exportable. You understand? And the quality specifications are there. Then you have to be member of your chamber of commerce, register with Nigerian Export Promotion Council, so you can get some value-added services on how to proceed. So this will help to direct you. You understand on how to proceed.
Mm,
You understand? You must associate with Export Promotion Council, Chamber of Commerce, go to your banks, get some basic advisory services. You understand? Begin to also get advice on how to process your NXPs, documentations, the export documentations, get quality advisory services. You understand? Which will also help you to, develop, a target base for clients. You understand?
mm,
From the Export Promotion Council, you can get the list of major exporters who to deal with, because you don't need to travel abroad before you export. All you need to master all the processes. You understand? Make sure that you direct your products where you have premium value, people that will value it more, and people that have a reputation for excellence. You understand? The international standard in terms of quality of products. You understand? Then you have
right.
the inspection agents, of course, that will be able to certify and issue something like warehouse warrants. You understand? On
Mm,
those products to give a certificate actually that your product conforms with the specification of what the international market is looking for. So
right.
in that case, it becomes like you're sure, that product will not be turned around this time, because without it, you risk, your product being turned around. The importer overseas will say, look, this is not compliant. But by the time you have your warehouse warranties and other certifications that further certify that these products are of this standard, and of course with a reputed name, then that means you have already begun to make movement. The next is to begin to discuss with your shipping lines and other things to be able to see how, for example, your consignment may not be up to, but you have to, do groupage, several merge with others for that consignment to be able to export it. Those are basically the key process. But the first thing is to fly with an export program. You need to seek for consultants, seek for advisory services, to provide a key sight of what you need to do to be able to progress. With all those key insights, then you're now able to balance it with other to-dos that you have to do, which is a basic assignment, to begin to do, making sure that all those things are in places and other things. Do your documentations, then go to
Right.
these things, and then, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anichebe. So we're going to do a further breakdown of this because I think this is perhaps one of the most important parts. And I like the point Dr. Anichebe made, which is the fact that you need to get advice. You cannot do this on your own. And that's why we're here for you on the program this evening to walk you through the processes. So we'll take your calls. I see calls coming in. I promise today that right after the break, I'm going to be taking the calls, the messages. I've seen the questions already, plethora of them. Don't worry, we'll take the questions this evening. We're still talking export opportunities on Financial Literacy Public Enlightenment radio series brought to you by the Bankers Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria. We'll go to a quick break, all right? Let's take a breather, okay? But we'll be back with more premium financial literacy conversation. Please stay with us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome back to the most profitable show on radio, the Financial Literacy Public Enlightenment radio series, brought to you by the Bankers Committee. I'm Kayode Okikulu, and I'm your host on the show this evening. We're talking export opportunities. That's right. So, for your business, for your personal little business, whatever it is, big, small, nano, whatever, we're here to show you the way, as they say, into this vast world of export opportunities. There's so much opportunities really waiting for you out there. Larger markets, more, increased earnings, you can employ more people, your business can grow. The list is literally endless. And I've been speaking with three brilliant, amazing gentlemen from the financial service sector. These men have been involved in building businesses and helping them grow. So they have the experience. Mr. Oladimeji Mustafa is the head international operations at Keystone Bank. Dr. Bani Shebe is group head corporate banking at Polaris Bank, as well as Mr. Emmanuel Waller, a team lead export and agriculture at Fidelity Bank. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. I promised I was going to take calls. So in case you want to call us, the number to call us on is 0909 861 5403. I'll take that again. The number to call us on, pardon me, is 0901 577 9472. Okay, 0901 577 9472. The other one is for our messages. So, gentlemen, let's continue the conversation. And just before the break, we were talking about the processes from conception to your product meeting your market out there, outside of the country. And, Dr. Anichebe has provided some amazing insight into this. And I'd like Mr. Nwalo to also shed more light based on the work you do, essentially regarding export and agriculture at Fidelity Bank. So regarding the process from conception to purchase, or at least to final exportation, what are the things we need to know as a business?
Okay, thank you. It is important that first and foremost, if you want to start the export business, you need to have a business registered. Okay, and in your object, that is the article and memorandum of association. It is important that export as a business is listed. Okay, so that is key. And I think our viewers, our listeners need to understand that when you are incorporating your business for the purposes of export, you need to ensure that export as a business is listed in your objects. Okay, so that is one. Then that enables you to go to Nigerian Export Promotion Council to secure the NEPC, what we call the export license. Okay, so you need an export license, very, very key. Now, first and foremost, when you have done all of this first level documentation, a key thing when you now want to start the business proper is to have to identify what is the product that the off-taker is interested in. By off-taker, I'm talking about the buyers overseas. What product do you think is in demand that can meet the need, of the market there? Now, do you want to export raw commodities? Do you want to export semi-finished or finished goods? So you need to understand that, so that you understand the basics, because each of the three items, have its own preparations to undertake when you want to do that. So that is one. So you need to understand this product that you want to export, is it readily available? And let me give you an example. If you are an exporter and you go sign a contract, for instance, now the output, let's assume you are exporting raw cashew nut. The total output from the country is in the region about 250 to 300,000 metric tons per annum. That is our total output. And there are a lot of exporters that buy, they buy this commodity. So you are not the only player. Now, if you go out there to sign a contract saying that you need to supply, say, 500,000 metric tons, so that becomes an abnormal situation. Where are you going to get that difference from? Right. So you need to have an understanding of the commodity you want to export or the item you want to export and how readily available it is, right, for procurement. Then you need to now build, you need to build capacity in the supply chain management side of it. So if I'm exporting item A and I sign a contract to supply item A, can I readily get this product when I need them? Because when you default on a contract in the export business, that can impugn your reputation as a business and also impugn every other exporter in Nigeria, right? So it has that multiplier effect. So we have to be very careful. You need to have that supply chain management, okay? And then you now begin to understand what are the quality parameters involved, whether it is semi-finished, whether it is finished. You need to understand the quality parameters and what the market, overseas need. You must have that at the bottom of your mind, because if you go and export product that is suboptimal in terms of quality, then you are going to have the risk of having those products rejected. And when it is rejected, it also comes at a cost to you, because the cost of destruction of those goods over there is going to be borne by the exporter. Or if you don't take that option, then you are going to be asked to bring in the product back to Nigeria. You're also going to pay freight, and other ancillary costs, involved.
So you don't want all of your efforts, in packaging your goods to be wasted just because of those little things. And that's why we're here to guide you through those hurdles. Thank you very much, Mr. Nwala, for that one. You made a point that, there are some products that are readily needed, for lack of a better term, that are quite in hot demand. Yeah, that's what in hot demand. And I'll take this to Mr. Mustafa, really, because I imagine businesses are thinking, okay, sounds good. What can I go into at least to make money that I'm sure that the world out there demands? So, Mr. Mustafa, what are some of the viable, do I say, sectors or products or services that are in high demand out there? This is from Mr. Mustafa, if you can hear me. Okay, let's move on. Mr. Nwala, so off the back of...
First of all, when you talk about fiber export commodity in Nigeria, first of all, after oil, the next one is agriculture, farm produce. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, farm produce. Farm produce in the sense that there are a lot of items you can actually export, either as a raw ingredient or you process to semi, or you take it to the final level, which is finished product. We have ginger, which is in high demand. We have cocoa butter. We have rubber, palm kernel. We have cotton, just to name a few. Name a few. We have yam tubers. We have charcoal, cassava flour, cashew nuts, honey. These are the items you can, what I call byproduct of agriculture, which are in high demand from Nigerian exporter. So when you talk about items, we have a lot of items, but we pick big when it comes to agricultural sector.
Okay, fantastic pointer there. I also know some people that maybe, yes, I can hear you. I know people that are maybe into shoemaking, some maybe fashion designers, people that, they do little crafts, maybe key holders, African prints and all of that. And I know those areas are viable as well, because there's a lot of demand for African products, things that have the African feel as well. So I'd like to ask Mr. Nwalo, before I come to Dr. Anichebe on this one. So for others aside agriculture, just how viable is it? I don't want people to take my word for it alone.
Okay, so in recent past, the CBN has been promoting the export of finished product or semi-finished product under the ROT 200 FX policy. And they have provided a significant rebate, or what we call incentive, to encourage exporters to begin to look, beyond just the primary commodity, because over time, it has, evidence has shown that the country does not earn much when we export primary commodities. So it is important that the listeners know now that the CBN is promoting, finished products. So, and they have also backed that up by giving rebates, to people who export semi-finished or finished products. And I think it's important that we highlight this, that for every FS proceed, for every amount of dollar that you bring in as a result of an export transaction, CBN is paying as much as 65 naira per dollar when that proceed is sold to a third party, and CBN is paying 35 naira per dollar when it is sold to oneself or an entity that is related to the exporter. So very, very important. So beyond the primary commodity, emphasis should be on export on finished or semi-finished goods. What do we mean by that? I did say earlier on that when you talk about exporting finished goods, as an exporter, especially if you're at the micro and small, mid and medium level, you don't necessarily have to be a manufacturer, because what that does to you or to your psyche is to say, okay, look, I'm going to be establishing or I'm going to be building a factory to manufacture product A, B, C, D. No, you don't necessarily have to go that hog. So you can actually export things without being the manufacturer. You can do what we call toll processing. What is toll processing? Toll processing means that if I have a company that does, say, a pen, the company is into pen production, and I have gotten export control, or I've been able to identify a market outside, either in Africa or outside of Africa, and I've seen a market that that product can go into. I can approach the company and say, okay, this is the specification of pen I want to export. I need you to produce this for me. And then they will produce, and then they will brand it in my company name, and then I will export. So by so doing, I'm not necessarily a manufacturer. I don't need to have all the big capital that is involved in setting up a manufacturing concern to be able to do that. So that is one. Another way you can export, because we're emphasizing on the small and the medium enterprises. Another way you can export finished commodities, finished commodity or semi-finished commodities, is by approaching entities who produce these items. You register with them to export their commodities outside of Nigeria. And there is a significant and there is a huge market within the sub-region. Okay. So when you go, for instance, plastic, for instance, even down to the footwear, the slippers that we wear, there is a huge market out there in Ghana, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, and all the rest. And so you can actually take advantage of this, buy these products, export these products without necessarily being a manufacturer. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you must de-emphasize, we must de-emphasize export of primary commodities, export of raw agro commodities into exporting finished products.
You just reminded me of something we have in store for our audience in the coming days, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. But let's keep the cat in the bag for now. If you're listening to us, that's some of the things we have in store for you in the coming days. But if you're just joining us, you can be a part of this conversation. We're talking export opportunities. We're getting into the questions now. I have quite a number of them, really. But if you want to call us, you can call us on 0901 577 9472. I'll take that again, 0901 577 9472. You get access to these brilliant minds who can give you advice free of charge, okay? No charges. They would give you free of charge. You can also send us messages on 0909 861 5443. Dr. Adichebe, please hold on. Let me take this call from one of our audience. Just 1 minute, please. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, yes, you are. You're onto the Financial Literacy Public Enlightenment Radio Series, brought to you by the Bankers Committee.
Yes, thank you very much. My name is Gabriel. I'm an exporter for a longer period. Actually, I've been able to secure exporting job twice. And one is from Germany, from Belgium, based on Shakul. But I find it difficult. Actually, I have my own money that I used to own my business before, but due to one or two reasons, I lost some funds, so I'm just somehow financially grounded. May God never let me be grounded. So I ran into this contract, and at the end of the day, I find it difficult to even secure, not even my own bank that I would be I've been very active with them. They are now requesting a lot of things there. I don't know what I'm saying is about 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2, 3 years. Then after that, last 2 years again or last year, I got another contract for cashew nuts, finished processing, which are much more because normally we do export based on some training I've gone through. We do export cashew nuts, but this one they requested for finished one. I'm luckily I took a friend of mine in Oshunki, and I have agreed to help me out with the business. But along the process, I was just the bank couldn't finance it. I ran to Zenith Bank as the rest. Since they couldn't finance it, I have to consult a friend of mine.
Okay.
So when I talked to him about the job, he now said, okay, he will finance me. But what he wanted to do is that he wanted to write that the job for me.
Okay.
So I look at it and look, if I should proceed with this, the conditions the guy is giving me, I will definitely love. So I'll be able to secure the contract and do little of it, get briefly for me. Then he will succeed at the end of the day. I check the whole.
Well, Mr. Oladele, so I get the point. So eventually, what would you like our resource persons to help you with?
Yes, sir. I've only said the question. I'll send my question online just now.
Okay, fantastic.
How can it be easier for us? And I've placed my secretary on ground to secure me your contract.
Okay.
How will it be possible for me
to get finance?
To be able to get finance here that will
okay.
Make my job in my own job when it's easier for me to finance, and I believe everything like what.
Okay, Mr. Oladele, so that we can have time to take the response to your questions. So let's speak to our resource persons. Thank you very much. We just heard from Mr. Gabriel Oladele. And well, the question is simple, and you can feel the passion. And I love the passion. He wants to get involved in this. It says, essentially, he's done this before. You know, he's tried to renew his export certificate and, you know, essentially to do this job. But his fear is that he always finds it difficult to get financiers. And I'd like to come to Dr. Anichebe for that one. So Mr. Gabriel Oladele is, well, he's having challenges getting financing, and he's tried to tick the boxes. What can he do?
Well, finance, we know is critical to operations. You understand? One is that it depends on if you have a good plan with your bank. If you have a good plan, that is, you have a good program. You know, if you have a good business study plan, business study stroke plan, and feasibilities, you can go to your bank and discuss your proposal. If you are going to the bank, if you're a regular customer of the bank, that, for example, if he has routed his transactions through a bank and he has evidence that he has done export before, it becomes easier for the bank to cooperate with him, knowing that he has walked through this trajectory before. So it's easier to attract finance because he has experience and he has a proposal that is bankable, which is why at the point of getting invoice, you need to have a partnering bank. You know, because when you get those invoices, also disclose to your bank that you have good invoices, you have valid plans, then the bank begins to look at it. Today, there are structures. Lending in Nigeria has been liberalized from micro-circle to non-collateral based lending. There are SME loans, which is given to customers based on activity. Do you understand? Today, we have been able to move from strictly collateralized lending to unsecured lending, partial lending based on character, based on capacity, based on what you have done, and based on due diligence of bank understanding, the bank can extend some tier finance. So it depends.
Okay.
You know, aside from cooperative support, cooperative lendings, you understand, which is you know, merging resources with others to be able to do those group rate, to be able to undertake those finances. You can go to your bank. Banks today, they will look at it. And today, more than ever, banks are much more decided to support the real sector of the economy. If you bring an export
Dr.
proposal, yes.
You can land on that point. We have another call, but you can quickly make that point before we pick this call.
Yeah, so if you have your proposal, go to your bank. Today, there's an export finance desk in every bank. So go there and ask for the export finance desk. They will be able to provide a roadmap. If they cannot do your lending, there's SME sector, SME desks that will be able to support. Yeah, but no serious bank today will let your proposal go because you don't have funds. There should be a way of putting it in. Thank you so much. But at the point of getting a proposal, work with a bank so that when the proposal is coming, the bank is already prepared and the bank understands their program. Not when you have secured everything, come to the bank and expect money overnight.
You can hear the passion with which Dr. Anichebe is answering that question. So, Mr. Oladile, I do wish that you've gotten the response. We have another caller on the line. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on FLPE. What's your name? Where are you calling from? I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What's your name? All right, Kechi Matthew. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from.
Oh, great. So what's your question?
Yes, I have a question for Mr. Oladile.
For Mr. Oladile. Well, Mr. Oladile is one of our callers, actually. We lost that call. So please call us back. Let's get a response to your question. But Mr. Oladile is one of the callers as well. He's not a resource person. But we're winding down now. We have less than 5 minutes. I want to quickly get this question out there. I'll take some questions from our Zoom very soon. But you know what? It's one thing to want to, export, but payment is also a very important point. This money is very serious. So what are the payment options really so that you can get paid easily? Is it in dollars? Is it in pounds? Whatever the currency. So you can get paid in that currency and have your money sitting in whatever account that is accessible. So I'm going to push this one to Mr. Mustafa.
Yeah, payment for anything export is in 3 forms. Number 1, SC, which is the most secure. We have bills for collection, which means you are giving your good in advance. And then the third one is what we call ordinary transfer. That is, you've done everything, you are at the mercy of the importer over there to pay after you must have delivered your goods. Those are 3 payments. If you have to break it down, the first one, SC, I say it's most secure because your money is already in a bank, even if it's not in your hand. You've taken the full value of your payment, it's secure in a bank. All you need to do is fulfill your own part of the obligation. When you do that, you ship, you exchange your documents, you get your money.
Okay. That
is SC, letter of credit. The next one is bills for collection. That one has to do with a relationship, more of relationship. A relationship is in the sense that there is proper documentation, just like SC. But the point is, you are saying when you get the goods, after a certain period of time, it's 10 days, 20 days, 90 days, pay me the value of the good I export to you. That's why CBN is giving 180 days for you to repatriate your fund. While the third one is, after you open NSP, you do everything, you are at the mercy of the other party to transfer to you. That's when you now say, okay, you export good of 100,000, they are transferring 90,000. They have encouraged my people. There is nothing wrong in establishing SC if you are sure of your products. If you are sure what you are exporting, if it's up to standard, SC is the best option. You are sure of getting your full value. Thank you.
I just want to establish, Mr. Mustafa, that You don't, is there a way not to get burnt? Because as you said, it's a bit tricky. I imagine sending my goods and I'm waiting for money. What if the money doesn't come? If you could do that in 30 seconds, is there a safeguard to ensure that businesses don't get in trouble in this process? Okay, you know what? Let me take that to
come
Mr.
back to my earlier response. The best option for you is go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, the best option is the network is a bit slow.
It's letter of credit.
Letter of credit. All right.
Which I
Thank you very much,
called
Mr. Mustafa.
earlier.
Okay, thank you very much for that, clearing there. So you heard that letter of credit is safer so you don't get in trouble. I wish I could take one more call because of our time. Let me wind down with this, Mr. Nwalo. So on a final note, before we talk about payment, we need to get the clients, at least the people that are going to buy the products, whether person to person or as a group. What is the best way to get the market, to reach out to the right market? Is there like a place I can go to online and type who wants to buy my shoe in the UK and I'll get, what's the best way to get access? We have 1 minute to go.
Okay, so there are multiple ways, but it's important to highlight that. So there are what we call trade keys. Trade keys. These are online portals where people can subscribe to. But usually you have the free sites and the paid one. But I encourage our listeners to always go for the Alibaba is a trade key. So if you go and sign on to the premium Alibaba, you make a payment which is usually like annual, right? So you'll be able to interface, with buyers of certain products. So over there is an online platform where buyers and sellers meet. So you can actually consummate it, trade, and then of course have a contract signed. So and there are other online sites as well. But like I said, these are called trade keys. You have to sign in. You have to go for the premium ones and make your subscription. But that is as far as online portal is concerned. But again, when you travel,
have to run.
You can also reach out. Sorry, type is first.
You can also reach out to what? You can make that point quickly. You can also reach out.
Okay, we can also subscribe to membership of bilateral organizations like Nigeria American Chambers of Commerce, Nigerian British Chambers of Commerce, all the chambers of
Commerce. We have to run,
Mr.
Wallo. We have to run. Forgive me. I'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel Wallo of Fidelity Bank, Dr. Obani Chebe, Polaris Bank, as well as Mr. Oladimeji Mustafa from Keystone Bank. Your, interventions have been quite instructive. Thank you once again. And to our audience, we're back next week. So keep those questions and keep doing business, keep making profit. On behalf of the production team here in Lagos, Maria Owoma, Gerald, Anu Foromini, Daniel Kuye, Jumoke, Obigbeso, and Idowu Eusebio, I'm Kaido Kikelu. Thank you for joining us. Keep making profit. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.